So tonight, working with our hips, second chakra, Swadhisthana. Just rolling down to the floor, exhale, engage the pelvic floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, engage the pelvic floor, roll down a bit more. Inhale, lengthen the spine. If this is too much, just go down right away. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, go down. And find yourself on your back, probably the first time since you woke up this morning. Feel free to put your feet at the wall if you like for a bit more grounding. Inhale, arms coming up overhead. Tucking the chin in. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. You're welcome to do this with the legs bent if that feels better, and our prop between the thighs on exhale. Inhale. Breathing chest to belly. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Keep this going if you can. Every couple of counts, maybe add a second to your exhale. Just making your exhale a little bit longer, a little bit smoother. Going. Now. Supine pranayama, focusing on long exhales. Ujjayi pranayama, constricting the throat. And just rest for a minute. When you're ready, grabbing your bolster or big bed pillow and putting it between your legs. We're just going to work on strengthening those inner thighs, which has a secondary effect of helping us engage our core and helping us ground energetically. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, squeeze your bolster. Just feel the inner thighs working. The adductors, inhale, release. And your knees can come slightly apart. Your feet are still on the ground. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Draw everything in and up. Hold after exhale. 1, 2, inhale, chest to belly, or just belly if you prefer. Open those hips a little bit. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Pull everything in and up. The tail slightly tucked under. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, top to bottom. Exhale, bottom to top. Squeezing your bolster, hold. 4. Inhale. This time, you're going to exhale. You're going to squeeze your pillow tuck your tail under a little bit and lift the hips up just a little bit. Inhale, lift higher, bring the knees away from your bolster. Exhale, squeeze the bolster. And hold after exhale, roll down. Inhale, release the bolster. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, tuck the tail under, lift the pelvis off a little bit. Inhale, lift higher, press into the feet, knees away from the bolster, lift higher. Exhale, squeeze the bolster, stay here. On the hold after exhale, roll down. Inhale, release the bolster, knees away. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, tuck the tail under, lift just the hips off the ground. Squeeze that bolster. Inhale, release the bolster, lift higher. Press into the feet, lift as high as you can. Exhale, squeeze the bolster. Now stay here. Inhale, lift higher, press into those feet. Maybe tuck the shoulders under a bit. Exhale, squeeze the bolster. Inhale, lift higher. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lift higher. Exhale, squeeze. Hold after exhale, rolling down. And release that bolster if you like. Just lay it down or your pillow. And just rest. Maybe hands on the heart. When you feel your heart beat, maybe slightly elevate it. So meditate on your heartbeat if you can. Feeling it pulsate your body, your fingers. Feel it slow down. Doing this is said to increase our ability to connect with our bodies through our interoception, ability to feel inside the body, and to develop actually more intuitive knowing, understanding things before you consciously understand. Just focusing on the heartbeat. And when you're ready, you're going to remove that bolster. We're just going to do a counter pose linked to the hips. So feet wide. Feet as wide as the mat, maybe even wider. If you have bunions, which I think at least one of you does, you might want to fold your mat slightly so that you've got a bit more cushioning, or put a blanket there. Inhale here, exhale, coming with your left knee down towards your right big toe. And try to stretch it downwards. So someone's pulling your knee down towards your toe. Inhale to the center. Exhale, other side, the right knee coming towards your left big toe. Inhale. The arms can be any height that feels good, palms up or down. This is very good for the hips, but also the thighs, and often the knees really benefit from stretching the thighs. Good for the lower back often as well. So notice where you feel it. Your upper leg. You feel one side more than the other. And then going with both knees to the left. All the way down. If you can, inhale, center, other side. If you can't go all the way down, that's fine. You could have a prop on either side of a pillow, same size pillow both sides as a landing pad, or blocks, one block per side that you have as a landing pad for your outer knee in particular, maybe your inner knee as well. Just going side to side. Could add a movement of the head the opposite way. It's a counterpose to the strength work we were doing with Divypadapita bridge. And just finishing up. So I'm going to teach something I haven't taught in a while. It's Ekapada Divypadapita one-legged bridge. You're going to bring your left ankle across your right knee. And as you inhale, can you lift your hips up even a little bit or a lot? And feel that left knee open, exhale coming down. Now, if you find your hips are really shifting when you come down, you can put a pillow or a block under there to help you. So inhale, lifting up. And exhale, coming down. If you're worried about arching your back, you just don't have to come up as high. You can just come up a little bit, like just like that, for example. Keep it more stable. If you have some stenosis in your lower back and you're worried about that, just do a little micro tuck of the tail under rather than a full lift. So this is something right from Chennai, Mr. Desikachar. I had class with him many years ago where he taught this, and I thought it was a really interesting way of opening one hip at a time. When you come down, you could also bring your knee across if that felt better. That's an add-on. My teacher, Mr. Schroeder, inhale coming up and exhale coming down. You can always do that add-on. And some of you might be able to stay here for a few breaths. You can always use your elbows to help you press into those elbows and lift higher, hands on the belly, and then come down. That stay can be tough, so you can skip that part. If you like, other side, you can always skip the stays and just keep moving or rest. Even this is a good stretch for many people, just this. So inhale, lifting up, opening that hip. So by lifting your hips up, your hips actually open. So it's a nice way of naturally working into hip openers. Exhale, release. When you come down, feel free to do a bit of a counter by bringing that right knee across towards the left shoulder. Inhale, coming up. And exhale down. It's going to show that add-on if you want. Otherwise, just inhale up and exhale, keep the opener. It's just slightly different effect. Just a reminder, you don't have to lift very high if you're worried about an unstable pelvis. You just lift a tiny bit. If you can, really use that left glute to lift as high as you can. It's a preparation for Jana Shirshasana, tree pose, Vrikasana, etc. After repeating 6 to 8 times, maybe staying, otherwise you could just rest here or stay. To help you stay up, you can use your elbows with the hands facing up and press them down and then lift up. Put your chin in if you can. You can always have a blanket under your head to support it. Don't stay very long there, that's pretty challenging. Exhale, coming down, release. Bring your feet wide, angle your knees in, just rest for a minute. You feel the heart rate having elevated, maybe hands on the heart. You feel your heart rate. You feel it beat. Building our embodied cognition, our ability to experience our mind in our body. Be more aware. Eventually, you'll be able to do it without having your hands on your chest. You can try that if you want. It's a little harder. There are days I can do that and days I can't. So just be gentle with yourself. So let's just do a counter for the legs, having done all that work. Urdhva Prasrita Padasana. Exhale, knees to the chest. Inhale, legs up and arms up. Just be sure you have room. Exhale, knees to the chest. Now, if you want to add a little bit more strength work to this, leave your hands down by your sides. Inhale, bring your legs up, point your toes towards your nose. Exhale, bring your legs down. You can point your toes, touch the ground. At the end of the exhale, draw in, and then hold your knees to stretch the lower back. So inhale, just do this very simply. Inhale up, Urdhva Prasrita Padasana. Exhale, Apanasana. Or with the add-on, inhale up and exhale without touching your knees right away. Hands by your sides, touch your toes to the ground and gradually draw your knees to your chest. Right at the end, drawing your knees in. Keep this going. Inhale up. And exhale down. Further away you can touch your toes, the harder it is, the bigger the lever. So doing this to stretch the legs, but you can add a little bit of strength work if you like. And keep the lower back nice and neutral on the ground. Getting the circulation moving into the legs, feet. And then just rest. You can stretch your legs out. Just rest. And feel free to touch your heart. Let the heart rate gradually slow down. Breath will do whatever it does. And then release. I'm going to do some hip openers with both legs. I'm just going to extend my mat out here. So Supta Baddha Konasana, with your hips open. If you like, you can have your blocks ready to just help have an even opening. So for example, if you have one hip that opens more than the other, it might shift your hips. I'm going to do an extreme version. So my left is tighter than my right, and it might take me kind of over towards my right without the blocks. So the blocks can just help even that out. Not absolutely necessary, just see. Inhale, bringing your arms up overhead. Again, as always, you could bring your arms to a bolster behind you, or just bring your arms wider if you've got a shoulder issue. So just a reminder on that. Supta Baddha Konasana. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, and chest falls. Try to feel like the breath is moving your legs. Inhale, opening. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. Just keep this going in your own time. If this is feeling too much, feel free to do one leg at a time. I'm going to show that. Those of you who want to do that, if you've got one hip, it's quite problematic. You might decide to do one leg at a time. And the lovely advantage of this is you get a bigger opener on that one side. So if you feel like you have a hip that doesn't open very well, if you try just doing one side at a time, it's amazing what range of motion you have when you're just doing one side. So feel free to do that instead if you like. I'm going to show the full version. Supta Baddha Konasana. Try to use the transverse abdominis, those lower abdominals. Draw your legs together. And the pelvic floor. So this becomes a great exercise for any incontinence issues. This also soothes the reproductive system for any stage of life. Can be really nice for the SI joints as well. If you've got SI joint pain, you might feel a nice massage of those SI joints as you move in and out. If it's comfortable, just stay in that open position. Otherwise, keep it moving. You might be able to put your palms together and stay here, or you might feel like you want to move your arms down. And any discomfort in the hips, you can make your blocks a little higher to make it less of an opener, or just take a break. Blocks, you can basically put it anywhere that feels good for your hips. You could also put a bolster or a pillow across underneath your knees for more support. Now in this position, if it's comfortable for you, you're going to inhale, feel your lower back move away from the floor, and exhale, tuck that tail under and feel your lower back go into the floor, and see how that moves your hips. Inhale, stretch away and feel that curve of the back increase. Exhale, tuck the tail under And feel how the lower back goes to the floor and your hips at a different stretch. This also can be really helpful when there's been trauma in this area of the body. Just helping get into any freeze response in the hips. And when you're ready, drawing your knees together and resting those legs and hips. You need to bend your legs, feet on the ground, or put a bolster or those blocks under your thighs. Might be feeling quite a bit of that downward flow of energy down your pelvis into your legs, into your feet, that apana vayu from having done that deep work in the pelvis. Go into more strength work. I just want to work the groin a little bit. So we're going to inhale, we're going to bring our legs to the sky and just make sure you have enough room to bring your legs to the side. So I'm going to move here a little bit so I can do this without banging into anything. So bringing your legs open. So this is a Supta version of Utta Vishta Konasana, which is a beautiful seated pose, but many of us can't do this seated very well, so we can do it supine better. Inhale here and feel that stretch in the inner thighs. We strengthened it in the beginning of class, but quite stretched out. And as you exhale, draw your legs together and feel the strength work from doing that, flexing the toes towards your nose. And inhale, opening, pointing your toes. Feel free to add the arms if you want. Exhale, drawing everything together. And I'm going to suggest just giving yourself a hug as you do that. Exhale. Inhale, opening. The research says that doing things like giving yourself a hug is very soothing for the nervous system. It's part of self-compassion work. This is great for the shoulders. This kind of hip work can sometimes bring up feelings of sadness and grief. Whenever that happens for me, I just go into the yoga lab and meditate, do my practices, move it through. Don't need to know what it means. That exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. That exhale is drawing your legs together. Now, some of you might want to stay here. You could be at a wall, your legs at a wall, which is kind of fun. You can also hold your thighs with your hands for a bit more support, but you could definitely have your legs on a wall. This is something when I was at dance school as a kid, a young woman, we would hang out like this on the wall quite a lot and try to stretch our inner thighs. These inner thighs can be quite grippy when our cores are weak or because of imbalances in the pelvis. You might have one side that's really tight, the other not so much. It's a really good area to get into. And if at any time it just feels like too much, either physically or emotionally, I invite you to change your position. Because you're only doing this for yourself. You're the ultimate teacher in the room. When you're ready, drawing your legs together. And just staying here with your legs to the sky, the hands to the sky, just in a simple viparita karani. Just feel the energy possibly moving down the spine into your legs as you do this. We have a little bit of shaking. And ready, release. Okay, so we're going to move into one of my favorite poses because of the meaning of the pose, Anantasana. For this pose, if you do have a thicker carpet, mat, blanket, you might want to put it down because we're going to lie on the side of our hip, and it can be kind of not very comfortable, especially for those of you who are a bit more slender. You might feel this more. Some of us have a bit more padding and it doesn't hurt as much, but just yeah, just give yourself that if you have it, blanket or something, blanket or carpet, rug. So we're gonna lie on our right side. I'm not gonna mirror this one. This is actually my right side. And just start with your knees bent. And then we're gonna stretch the top leg and the bottom arm, if we can. If this is not comfortable, put a pillow under your head, more comfortable one than this. Okay. That's modification. Otherwise, if you can, stretch that right arm long. I'm going to bend the bottom leg so that when I point the leg away, I can get some real traction through the top of the hip. So inhale here, and then exhale. You're going to bring your leg up. When you inhale, you're going to point your toes away and maybe bring that left arm along your left ear, maybe palms together, and then stretch both sides, hands away, foot away, stretch as much as you can. That's your inhale. And exhale, flex your toes towards your nose. And we're strengthening the outside of the hip. If you're not feeling this, well, you're probably just really strong. This part of our body tends to get weak, especially as we age. And it can lead to more falls as we age. Can't control what happens to us, but sometimes we can avoid negative consequences by having a strong body mind to protect us. So one of the definitions of yoga is yoga as protector, rakshanam, yoga rakshanam, yoga as protection. Protects us from the negative things, the effects of negative things we sometimes have to face, like falling. You want that exhale to be long and smooth. And bending the bottom leg, I found, really allows you to drop that left hip down on top. Which be very helpful if one hip's higher than the other. Just finishing up and resting. Inside child, just notice the glued meat, the outside of the hip, having really worked. Now we're going to switch sides. Okay, so same thing on this side, just finding the setup that works for you. The left arm under the ear, or you could put a pillow or block under that ear. The right hand in front of you, the left knee bent, the right leg extended long. And you could just do this without moving that arm at all. But if it's comfortable, right arm joining left, palms together, and stretching the right toes away, palms together, stretching from fingertips to toes as you inhale, exhale, flex the toes towards the nose, with the foot facing me, the toes facing me. It's your exhale, and then inhale, extend long. And again, having that lower leg bent allows you to get more traction through that hip. Exhale, so you tend to get compression in your lower back on one side or your hip on one side. This might be a very helpful yoga therapy move for you. I discovered that during one part of my life where I had a couple of years of chronic hip pain. I kind of discovered this and it got me out of it. This was the pose, usually one that really does the trick. And it was this variation that I discovered just by playing around with it. I feel like someone's pulling your toe. That expression, you're pulling my leg. And if you become too tired, rest earlier rather than later. Don't overdo it. You might feel a bit of your hips sore tomorrow from all this strength work, but hopefully in a good way. You might feel a little bit taller and a little bit brighter in terms of your mind emotions. When you're ready, just bend your knees and rest and just feel that work that you just did. And your side child, just rest. Okay. So this is something that I also discovered over time. Let's flip onto our bellies. And we're going to work those glutes a bit. So you can put a pillow or block to put under your forehead. If you like, you can fold your hands and put your forehead on your folded hands. The back of your hands, that is. Now, tuck your toes under. And can you straighten your legs and have your knees come off the ground? And just feel that. This is working the knees first. I haven't shown you this yet, so we're back to the legs and feet. So inhale. Straighten your legs so much that your knees come off. And release. Now, if you want to take it up a notch and get a bit more into the hips, you've got a block or a pillow, put it between your thighs. And if you like, bring your hands just under your shoulders and do the same thing and squeeze that block. If you like, you can also lift your chest and exhale, release. You do not have to lift the chest. You can leave it down, hands under the forehead. Inhale, tuck the toes under, squeeze the block. And feel those glutes working. Feel like I'm coming around, poking your buttocks, which my Iyengar yoga teacher used to do to us. And exhale, release. If you want to take it up a notch, stay in the position and breathe for a while. It's quite challenging. And you can do that with or without the chest lifted. When you lift the chest, it goes more into the lower back. So I actually prefer for what we're doing is just with the head down. So this really helps strengthen the knees, the tendons around the knees, like the patella tendon, the inner thighs, and gets into the glute max a little bit, glute med. And just stay there and breathe for a few if you can. Every time you exhale, try to squeeze a bit more. Okay, and release. All right. So what I want to do now is just move one leg at a time up. So tucking those toes under. Inhale, lift your left leg up. I'm going to mirror for you. Exhale, tuck the toes under, release the knees. Inhale, other side. Right leg coming up. Exhale, release. This is working the back of the hips. Starting to get into the lower back, but without adding the chest, it stays more in the legs and the hips. I like tucking the toes under because it just makes, it gives you a bit more height. You try it without, it's just different. Find you can't get quite the stability or the height. You might prefer it this way. Shalabhasana, Eka Pada Shalabhasana. Oh, rather, sorry, Ardha Shalabhasana. Ardha Shalabhasana, there you go. Locust pose. Half locust. And just finishing up. And coming back into child's pose if you can, or lie on your back and bring your knees to your chest right away. We're going there next. It is possible for you to do child if it's okay on your knees. Go for it. If possible, the hip variation is with knees apart and coming into your child's pose. Good, turn your feet out. Some people like to do that for the groin. I personally do not like it on my knees, but some people really like that. So if that works for your body, feel free to do that. And when you're ready, lying on your back, if you're not already there. All right. So we've gone around the world. And we're going to continue. I'm going to do this one without the bolster today. All right. Keep everything flat. So bending your right leg and extending your left leg. Inhale, you're going to bring your left arm overhead and point your left toes away as much as you can. That's your inhale. And again, you might feel a bit of traction in your hip. And then exhale, bring the leg up, hold underneath the thigh, and then inhale, extend, just that. So when you do that inhale, stretch as long as you can. You might feel the stretch more in your upper back or more in your hip. Try to stretch that whole left side and then exhale, bring it up. You can do this with the right leg straight, but I find you don't get the traction in the hip as much with that version. Supta Padangustasana. This is Ekapada, one-legged version. So the classical pose is here hanging out. This is a vinyasa version that Krishnamacharya teaches. My own teacher taught it to me. Bending that leg again gives you more traction in the hip and upper back when you do that inhale, one on each side. Just finishing up, and then just stay in the leg stretch for a few breaths. Maybe stretch that right leg long. Hold behind the thigh, the calf, or the big toe. Try to keep that left hip coming to the ground. Could also hold the little toe side. Those of you can, you can also use a belt. Just keep it simple. We're not going to be here too long. You could also inhale, press the leg into the hands for up to 10 seconds, PNF response, and then exhale. See if the leg comes towards you a bit more. Tricking those muscle spindles to release, give you more flexibility. Let's do that other side, bending the left leg, stretching the right leg long. Inhale, extend nice and long. Both sides, pointing the toes away, the finger towards the sky. Exhale, bringing the leg up. Inhale, pointing, extending. Exhale, bringing the leg up. It's a dynamic stretch for the hamstrings, great for the lower back. And I'm doing it for the hip to again work on that traction of lengthening the front of the hip, the psoas on the right side this time. This helps, I really find, with imbalances in the hips, one hip higher than the other. So when you're here, exaggerate the pull between the hand and the foot. So if you can feel that stretch somewhere in the chain from the foot to the hand. Doing this 6 to 8 times. When you feel complete, maybe staying and stretch, that leg stretch, going back to those legs and feet, foundation. Can hold just behind the thighs. Really beautiful to do it this way. I'm remembering how nice this version is, and just press the thigh into the hands for up to 10 seconds as you inhale, and then exhale, draw it towards you. You can try the same thing with the calf. Maybe holding the big toe. The arm can be up the side, it can be on the thigh. Palm up, palm down. You could do hold with the belt. Again, just simple holding behind that thigh. Beautiful version for the hip, especially. When you do that inhale, you can drop that hip way down. Get it to the mat. And then exhale. When you're finished, bring your knees to your chest. Maybe go into your happy baby, folding underneath your thighs, holding your calves, your shins, holding your big toes or your little toes. Draw the lower back to the ground. Inhale, you can stretch the legs long. Exhale, bend. So show simple version, just holding underneath the thighs. Or stay. Feel this in the lower back, the hips, the groin. Feel complete, just resting. I'm just going to invite you to put some weight on your belly, on even your chest. So I'm going to put my bolster like this. You could just put a block on your belly, or one block on the belly, the other on chest. Before you do that, you could cover yourself with a blanket. A weighted blanket is wonderful if you've got one. Just adding that weight, which way before weighted blankets, Mr. Iyengar, just really handed to him. He figured this out just through observation, that by adding weights like sandbags and even blocks on a person's body, someone who's feeling dissociated or anxious, can be extremely soothing. So I like this variation just because it connects the heart to the gut. And we know that we have these three centers of cognitions: our brain, our hearts, and our gut. We have millions and billions of neurotransmitters, serotonin, the most in our gut, actually, neurons in our brain. Just connecting that pathway from the gut to the head, enteric nervous system, vagus nerve. And just feel the breath. Just feel the natural breath. And the breath moves the body. Starting to move back into your awareness of your body, your breath, your surroundings. Making fists, your hands, pointing, flexing your toes, releasing the hands, making fists, when you're ready, possibly stretching overhead, toes away, chin in, and bring the back of the head towards the ground. And in your own time, rolling to one side if possible, comfortable to your right side, activating the left nostril of receptivity or Chandra moon energy. The Ida Nadi, the moon Nadi. Nadi means little river, 72,000 of them running from the gut all over the body. But in the West, we'd probably physically just call the nervous system.
Just sitting in whatever comfortable position to close. And stay lying on your back if sitting's not comfortable for you. Breathing in hands to the heart. Om Shanti. It means peace. Shanti. 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 Shanti, 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 Namaskaram. Thank you very much.